Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. And this is what you hear every day from noon till 2. Don't miss the Cheryl Underwood Show.
It's the jump off. Welcome to the Cheryl Underwood Show. Hot topics. We discussing anything. It's a go. We going live now. Got a favorite song? Call into the show. Is he ready? Yep. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
That's what I'm talking about. Cheryl Underwood Radio. It is a great
That's
day.
it. Cheryl, I was so excited to see two great stars out here, to come back home. Both are from North Carolina. One is from Fayetteville, and Chris Paul is from the Winston-Salem area. But they came to Fayetteville State at HBCU and marched with the kids to take them to go vote. It was wonderful to see our brothers, encourage people to vote. It's very nice. Very nice.
Fantastic. Vic Frost, you say what?
Anytime a celebrity comes to Fayetteville is a great honor. And especially for this cause, I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and we love that kind of thing here in Fayetteville.
You are listening to KUAW Radio, home of the all-new Jamal Bakes Show, and I'm Jamal Bakes, and thank you so very much for listening to the station bringing you talk, news, entertainment that you won't get anywhere else. KUAW, in, of, and about our community.
This is comedian Janelle Banks, and you are listening to KUAW, Kansas City.
This weekend on Blues Time in the City.
If you didn't see him, you'd think he was a black dude playing.
That's the late, great Bo Diddley. We went to the Blues Archive Vault and downloaded some Bo. Very interesting what he's talking about this weekend. And Bobby Rush's birthday is Tuesday the 10th. He will perform one of his past performances live this weekend. Join me on Rosina Bailey for Blues Time in the City this weekend right here.
KUAW listeners, this is Carl Boyd for Wave Your Grades, coming to you every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lyne't with the Lyne't Gray Show. I'm here with you on November 3rd, 2020. This is our United States presidential, state, local, and some federal issues that we vote on. We are not just voting, and this is the one thing I want to tell everyone. Oh, wait a minute. This is Lyne't Gray Show. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lyne't Gray Show on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, Kansas City's global community radio station. You're most likely listening to the Lyne't Gray Show on Facebook on KUAW. I also advise people to please go over to Twitter, type in KUAW to Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TuneIn, and Periscope. There we go. I'm going to get this Periscope one, y'all, because I watch a lot of Patreon. So I'll be wanting to say Patreon, but it's not. You don't have to pay to watch this. So, but yeah, this is our election night episode of the Lyne't Gray Show. I want to thank you all for tuning in, to all of my friends on the motherland, on the continent, on the soul of the planet, Africa. I want to tell you all, ain't none of your business who I voted for. y'all just steady. Who'd you vote for? Who'd you vote for? That's private. But I just want everyone. I actually did early voting because I wasn't supposed to be in Kansas City. And the reason why I'm wearing this jacket, this is my son's Army military jacket. And he's not retired, but he's discharged. He took his honorable discharge from the military after serving for 6 years. My son went into the military when he was 17 years old. And I was privy and not so privy to a conversation between two people today who were not of the same hue as me. And people might see me post a lot of stuff about black. It's not in prejudice or bigotry. You can't never call me a racist because my people don't own enough stuff to shut people out systematically. So we're not racist. We can be bigoted and we can be prejudiced. We cannot be racist. Let's clear that up now. But I heard them speaking and they were talking in a manner that our military, our black people don't serve in the military. I'm like, what? And I'm standing there. I walk up behind him and one man was like, oh, you're the exception. I said, well, actually, I'm a proud Army mom And my son and plenty of his friends enlisted when they were 17 years old. They did delayed entry for straight out of high school. So that, I think that is one of the things, and I had to enlighten them that young black men and black women go to the military in droves, especially from poor neighborhoods, especially from underperforming schools. And so I think the division that people claim just happened in our country, this division didn't just start, y'all. I've been a truck driver for 19 and a half years, and I tell everybody, there has not, only time I don't get called the N-word B or the N-word C word when I'm blocking traffic or getting in somebody's way to back into a dock is when I'm at home and I'm not driving a truck. And so that's what, and I drive locally. So I do local, regional, and I've done over the road where I was working in other cities. And so this was not just Kansas City that did me this way. You know, so the America that, the USA that you all are just now finding out about, I've been living it. It never went away from the time I was born. The prejudice and the hatred and the bigotry and the people who want to call you the racial slurs, whatever racial slurs they want to call you, or you go into a job and there is a very big corporation here in Kansas City that has a transportation department, where just a couple of years ago they were talking about having redneck picnics over the radio. And that was just a couple of years ago. It's not been that long. So, and that was what, like 2012, 2013. So this stuff has, what we're seeing that the media is playing up as a sense of urgency for everyone to hurry up and vote for this person, hurry up and vote for that person. I have advised people, I want people to start being proactive with your vote and not reactive, because when you're proactive with your vote, it stops us from being in this position to where you have to pick the lesser of two evils and you don't know who else is running for president. Do you know that our government influences our media to the point where we never hear from the Libertarian Party, we never hear from the Green Party, not even in when they are just running candidates, not when it's time to select who's running for president, but when they are just running candidates from everywhere. We should have at least 4 parties up there: the Republicans, the Democrats, the Green Party, and the Libertarians. We should have all 4 parties up there. All 4 should be able to do debates. And then when you come down to the presidential debate, the other 2 presidential candidates should be able to stand up there and debate with the Democratic and Republican. But it's all about the money. And that's what I want people to understand. And this is something, when I got done talking with the men who were basically saying, you know, they were basically trying to say black people are not brave enough to serve in our military. And I do honestly believe that some people think, and those are the people who've never served. Those are the people who've never given up their teenage years all the way into their 20s to go pack a gun and get up at 4:30 in the morning so they can do roll call at 5, or get up at 4 so they can do roll call at 4:30. Those are the people who've never done that, who honestly believe that there are no black people, no African Americans in the military. And sadly enough, majority of those people are your most vocal supporters of ideology of being able to run around with a gun and shoot someone. You're not even military trained to use that weapon, and you want to run around with a gun and go buy up all the ammo. Another thing, y'all, I'm just gonna say this: don't be freaking out because they bought up all the ammo and bought up all the guns, because remember, they did that when Obama got elected. If they ran out of ammo, every time he said something they didn't like, we ran out of ammo. Here's the thing. The division in this country is created. And I want to give shout out to Gino Bowie. He's a great mind. He is a screenwriter. And he said something earlier today on his Facebook page, which is exactly how I feel. He said that basically he's sitting back and he's keeping his word to himself, but it feels like he's in the Twilight Zone. You get what I'm saying? And when he said he feels like he's in the Twilight Zone, that's because, like, everyone is allowing themselves to be mind controlled. Come on, y'all. This is what I tell people. Use your own mind. Do not allow anyone to tell you what you should think, how you should vote. When I casted my vote earlier, I did not, because like I said, I didn't think I was going to be in Kansas City. So I casted my vote earlier. I encourage everyone. Here's my thing. I encourage people to vote. I don't tell you how to vote. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm not going to tell you who you should vote for. People ask me, and I always tell everyone, look up on Ballotpedia. Look up on Ballotpedia and see what is on your ballot. I've been saying this for a long time because just like, which I'm glad when I went and did my ballot for the state of Missouri, I love the way they put it up there because unfortunately, we were faced with, some trickery to our amendment for Missouri, which they posed it as it was going to be an amendment to the amount of donations and gifts that lobbyists can accept. But in all actuality, they only raised it $5. But if you went down to read further, it was going to make it to where they were going to redraw the voting lines. And that was going to give certain people, they had the right to redraw voting lines. Here's the thing. We voted on that in 2018. We voted on the raising the lobbyists, capping the lobbyists in 2018. So for them to put that at the top of the read when you're reading off what you're voting for, that was trickery because they know a lot of people don't like government and they've been trained and taught to not like lobbyists and things of that nature. Well, come to find out, it was so that they could redraw the lines, and most people were not going to read that. So I love the fact that when it came up on the screen for me to vote, it said, do you vote to raise the cap on the lobbyists, whatever wording they use, and it had by $5 written real big. Nobody's going to vote for that. I mean, if they do, I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. But $5 isn't going to hurt a lobbyist. $5 isn't going to hurt me. So, try again. And so, but those are the things that we have to look for when doing our elections. I want to say, and y'all see me typing in my computer because I'm trying to find his page. And his name is Tavon Brooks. He's running for alderman in St. Louis. And I need to look up, you're going to see me typing on my computer because I need to look up where he's running for, which alderman he's running for in St. Louis. Because you all need to get out and vote for him. He's perfect for whatever area he's running for. He's perfect. Do not let him not be elected for your area. It will be you all will be doing yourselves a huge disservice. I promise you, you will be doing yourselves a huge disservice. So another thing is let's pray that Alicia Kennedy and Tracy Chapel, Alicia Kennedy won lieutenant governor. Let's pray she did. And let's pray that Tracy Chapel won prosecuting attorney. Y'all, if y'all didn't vote her in as prosecuting attorney, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to say if y'all did not vote her in as prosecuting attorney, because sadly, what we have, and I'm going to keep saying it, what we have has done so much dirt for Jackson County. I mean, I'm trying to choose my words wisely, because I have them and I want to say them, but I want them to come out clearly and concise. But when you have a prosecuting attorney and the prosecutors underneath them who cheat and lie the system and prosecute someone who worked on their campaign without doing a change of venue, and then when they are caught, they try to blatantly lie and say they didn't know the person they were prosecuting, and then put themselves in a position to be caught in that lie. That tells me if they did something like that over such a menial case, imagine what they've done over cases that they feel like would put that W on their record. We have to be very, very, very mindful of who we put in office. I want to know how many people actually knew about the judges that they put in office, that they voted for or voted against. Who knew about those judges? Who knew what the judge's voting record was? See, those are the things we have to do. You have to know city, state, and federal. You have or a local, state, county, and federal. It's not just the presidential election, but I feel like a lot of people got bait and switched because a lot of people were told to look at the presidential election and to focus on the presidential election. And when y'all got done focusing on the presidential election, y'all gonna see a whole bunch of stuff that y'all missed locally. And I keep saying it, and I will always say it. George W. Bush, when he sat there on Oprah's show, everybody can go watch it after Katrina, and I think it was after his presidency. And he sat on Oprah's show, and she asked him what happened with Katrina, and George W. Bush clearly said, we were on Air Force One, flying above it all. And I'm waiting on the governor and the mayor of New Orleans to make a decision. He could not, as president, override the mayor and the governor. See, we have the president, we give the president all this power, but he made it perfectly clear that he would have done something. But those two were on a standoff on Air Force One. Both of them were having an ego-driven issue over the flooding and what was happening while they were on Air Force One. So that tells you that, yes, the president has power, but he has federal power. He cannot, like President Trump had to get permission. Put it like this. Our governor of Missouri, current governor of Missouri, had to get permission from Mayor Quentin Lucas to call President Trump in order to bring in the federal agents for Operation Legend, which ain't been doing nothing. They found Legend's killer. I don't know how many more killers they done found. With 200 agents in Kansas City, they're supposed to be finding killers. They're not supposed to be harassing people. None of that. I watched them swarm a house for drugs a couple of months back. Y'all doing drug busts. Y'all not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be finding killers. We have murderers and we have homicides that have not been solved. But let me get off that. Let me stop. What I'm saying is, in order to bring Operation Legend into Kansas City, President Trump couldn't just say, oh, well, Kansas City got a whole bunch of murders. Let me bring Operation Legend in there. The governor couldn't say, oh, Kansas City got a whole bunch of murders. Let me call the federal agents in. Both of them had to get permission from Mayor Quentin Lucas. So when we do all of this focusing on a presidential election, but we don't worry about who we electing locally, county-wise, and state-wise, we still putting ourselves in a horrible position. And I want this to be the message of 2020. It should have been the message of 2016, but so many people were so eager to wash their hands and wash history of President Obama, an African American who was in office. They're so eager to wash their hands in history of that, what they consider fiasco, that they voted out of emotion. When you make a decision with your emotions, whether good emotions, positive or negative, there's still some type of consequence to pay for making an emotional decision. And the one thing I tell a lot of people is our people, the Black African American community, you want to call yourself melanated, I call us Native Black Americans, which simply means we are descendants of kidnapped and terrorized hostages. Y'all know I don't call my ancestors slaves. I call them kidnapped and terrorized hostages because that's what they were. But people who are descendants of quote unquote so-called slaves, the Native Black Americans, they know they've done a 460-year study of how to control us and how to get us to do what they want us to do. They figured this out in the first 100, 200 years. It didn't even take them 100 years to figure this out. So we have been a 460-year psychological study. And the first thing they do is they appeal to our emotions. We have to learn to stop being so emotional. We have to learn to look at the issues. If all of Black America had gotten behind Bernie Sanders, then everybody else would have followed, because we got a chokehold on the world, y'all. You can look around the world and everybody has our style, has our swag, do things the way we do them, pose, whatever, dress, talk, walk, listen to the music. You look in they churches worship the way Black people worshiped long before anybody else do. And we allow people to control us mentally. I want 2020's election day to be a wake-up call for us as a people, because here's one thing I found out, and I can say it now because the polls are closed. We ain't never have to vote for the president. Our vote don't even matter when it comes to presidential things. Our vote matters when it comes to who's sitting in Congress. Our vote, the people who are elected in Congress that the Electoral College does not have a say-so in, because I didn't find out until I was talking to someone who worked at the federal level since, I want to say, Carter, and they left. I'm not going to say when they left because people might be able to tell who possibly I was talking to. But this person said that Black people's vote on the president has never mattered because we're not a big enough population to make a difference. But they know, he said, but the government knows that whatever the Black people do, there's certain people who don't like Black people they're going to go against. And there's certain people who love us or love how we are, they're going to jump on the bandwagon for us. And he used Clinton as an example. Clinton came out of Arkansas, and Arkansas is one of the more prejudiced places. So all of the Black people in Arkansas were in love with Clinton. This was long before social media, and it spread everywhere. But what about the people who didn't like Black people? They voted against Clinton. And but like he said, if you look at the Black vote, you can snatch the entire Black vote out of the presidential vote and it makes no difference. But where does it make a difference at? It makes a difference on your federal Capitol Hill level, because whoever you voting into Capitol Hill, they are for your absolute district. You know, we're not voting for Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's district is voting for Nancy Pelosi. We're not voting for Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's district is voting for Mitch McConnell. And so it makes a difference when we vote for Capitol Hill. Who are we putting in Capitol Hill? That's number one. Then you want to go to the state level. Who are we voting for at the state level? And what amendments and what legislation is coming up at the state level that we should know about? Because it directly affects us. I can't stand when I hear Black people say, I don't vote. Why? Because you got to obey laws. And these people are passing laws that they're most likely going to enforce on you. They're going to let other folks slide. They not. So you have to be involved in that. We have to be involved in our county elections. Because why? They directly affect us, and definitely our local elections. Like I tell people, we had judge placement. I wonder how many people knew who judges were. I'm telling y'all one thing, and I'm going to say it like this. I voted out everybody in Division 28. Y'all can kiss my behind, because my dang on trial lasted longer than a dang on murder trial, and it was just for fighting. So I voted against all y'all. I hope all y'all lose y'all spot. I'm just going to say that. Anyway, so my lawyer, she was like, this don't make no sense. Your proceedings have lasted longer than most murder trials I've done. And it was crazy. 3 years for beating up somebody. 3 years in court, in and out of court, and then had to do even longer than that because they gave me a diversion because after the prosecutor got caught prosecuting somebody who worked on his campaign. See how dirty they are? That's why I tell y'all need to learn who's in office. Learn that. Learn who's running. Look at these people's voting record. Know what these judges, know their decisions that they're making. There were judges when I went for arraignment who was letting people out of jail on signatures who got caught breaking in people's houses and was high on meth. Why would you let somebody like that out of jail? Why? So they can get caught in somebody else's house high on meth? Division 28. But they were letting the different hue folk just walk up out that piece. And so that's what I'm telling everybody, how important your vote is and why your vote is so important. And that you need to focus on more than just the presidential election. We're going to go to break for 2 minutes. This is the Lyne't Gray Show on KUAW. We got to pay some bills. Y'all invite other people to watch the show. Telephone number is 816-599-6893. About to scroll right across the top of my head up there. I would love callers and love to hear what people have to say. See you back in 2 minutes.
All right, you're listening to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. We don't only bring you videos on Facebook and YouTube, but listen to our audio only, where you'll get shows like Cheryl Underwood and Blues Time in the City. You can pick us up at www.kuaw.org or go to the TuneIn app and search KUAW. Listen to us. We're on 24 hours a day. That's KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. And this is what you hear every day from noon till 2. Don't miss the Cheryl Underwood Show.
It's the jump off. Welcome to the Cheryl Underwood Show. Hot topics. We discussing anything. It's a go. We going live now. Got a favorite song calling to the show. Is he ready? Yep. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
That's what I'm talking about. Cheryl Underwood Radio. It is a great
That's
day.
it. Cheryl, I was so excited to see two great stars out here, to come back home. Both are from North Carolina. One is from Fayetteville, and Chris Paul is from the Winston-Salem area. But they came to Fayetteville State at HBCU and marched with the kids to take them to go vote. It was wonderful to see our brothers, encourage people to vote. It's very nice. Very nice.
Fantastic. Big Frost, you say what?
Anytime a celebrity comes to Fayetteville is a great honor. And especially for this cause. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and we love that kind of thing here in Fayetteville.
You are listening to KUAW Radio, home of the all-new Jamal Biggs Show, and I'm Jamal Biggs, and thank you so very much for listening to the station bringing you talk, news, entertainment that you won't get anywhere else. KUAW, in, of, and about our community.
This is comedian Janelle Banks, and you are listening to KUAW, Kansas City.
This weekend on Blues Time in the City.
If you didn't see him, you'd think he was a black dude playing.
That's the late, great Bo Diddley. We went to the Blues Archive Vault and downloaded some Bo. Very interesting what he's talking about this weekend.
And we're back to the Lyne't Gray Show. Thank you all for staying with us. Thank you all for tuning in to KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, Kansas City's first global community radio station. I started reading behind my head. Y'all see it. So I used to say Kansas City's global, but we're first now. I want to wish a happy birthday to my 4th birth son. I call him he's so mellow. He's my homie. He's the yin to my yang, literally. Like, he's so mellow. He was mellow while I was pregnant. I was the most mellow and chill and spiritual, and it was a beautiful thing. So happy birthday to him. He's 20 years old, y'all. 20. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But and happy birthday to everyone who's born today. Happy birthday to all of my November people. I'm finding out so many people are born in November. That's awesome. And there's a lot of people I'm cool with. So that's a good thing. Y'all, my birthday's the 14th. I'm just letting y'all know, I take all kind of gifts. Y'all can call me up, say, girl, here's my food stamp card. Go feed Richie Rich. Hey, I'll take it. So, but we're going back to the election thing. I just want us as a people to be more aware. And this is what I'll say. Look up all the previous ballots. If you don't know, I've had someone say, well, I talked to a woman tonight and she was like, well, they don't tell us that. They're not going to tell you anything. They're going to put the information out there. Okay. If someone had 30 days to give up $1 trillion, and if in those 30 days they didn't give away the $1 trillion, they got to keep it. But they had to let the public know that the $1 trillion was up for grabs, and it had to be public. But if no one claimed even a portion of the $1 trillion in that 30 days, they get to keep all of it. What's the best way to make something public knowledge and worry about people never looking at it? You embed it in a bunch of information. You make it something that is something that most people won't listen to or watch or read. I say this, there are people who get divorces all the time. I had someone literally tell me, girl, you ain't got to go through all that with your husband. File for a divorce, put it in this such and such paper. If he don't show up, boom, everything's yours. She said, that's how I did my husband. And this man still lived with her. And she got a divorce and got everything she wanted because he never showed up. And she told him she didn't know where he was. She was like, well, I didn't know where he was the day I found. She found while he was on a 3-day hiatus with his side chick. So she didn't know where he was. So I guess that's the truth. She didn't lie. But there's certain places that people don't look for information, and they are counting on you to not look. But if you type in a keyword into Google, you'll get pages upon pages upon pages of information. And how many times do people sort through Facebook and y'all looking through hundreds of statuses? We have no excuse for the state that our country is in right now because we put our country here. Like I said, we all need to start a petition that all 4 parties are listed for the presidential pre-elections and things like that. From now on, we're not just getting the Democrats and the Republicans. We are getting the Libertarians, the Green Party, the Democrats, and the Republicans. I mean, those are your 4 major parties. Think about it like this. They once had the Whig Party. We learned about that in school. You get what I'm saying? And then when people started pouring money into politics, they started phasing that kind of stuff out. And so that's where we need to start. One of the things that we were talking about that neither of the presidential candidates brought up or even made a promise for is reparations. I spoke with an amazing person. How you doing, sir? And he was telling me how a certain state, I'm not even going to mention that state, how they handled reparations with the Native Americans. And it was not, I'm going to give them all a lump sum of money. It is everyone who is a descendant gets this type of excellent schooling from kindergarten or preschool all the way up to high school. And then once they leave high school, if they want to go to Stanford University, if they want to go to Yale, if they want to go to any Ivy, it's paid for. It's absolutely paid for. If they want to go to trade school, if they want to go to school in China, the U.S. government pays for it. And these young people are graduating. These young people from a group of people, from Native Americans, are graduating high school and going into amazing colleges. Graduating from, they are even helping them get through the school. I mean, the government is throwing money to help them. The government's like, hey, we might as well just go on ahead and pay for this because it's cheaper than paying all this money. And this stuff is done for them. Their schools are set up in a way by the government that the parents have to participate. The students have to take music, like instrumental music. Every student has to take instrumental music. Why? Because it opens up the brain. But when you look at our schools and our education system, majority of our kids can't pass tests because they don't know instrumental music. Shout out to Mr. Chamberlain, Mr. Daryl Chamberlain, and what he's doing with the young people in Kansas City with his A-flat orchestra. He's having so many young Kansas Cityans He's teaching them music at a level that you will only learn if you're in a symphony. And my two sons were in the A flat orchestra, and they were the first part of the first orchestra to ever play in the St. Patrick's Day parade, which was awesome, and it was freezing, and those babies did amazing, even though their instruments were like freezing and their strings and stuff were freezing, and the electric guitar couldn't be played because it started to sprinkle a little bit. It was a lot of things going, but they still played and it still sounded amazing. Now these kids can read music at such a high level that it makes them intellectual. My sophomore son is taking college algebra. He won't let me use his real name no more, even though he's on the show. So Nefarion, I call him Richie Rich and Dapper Dan Jr. because he sat on his Porsche, so he gonna get it with his own money. Mama gonna make sure of that. But he's taking college courses as a sophomore in high school. He just finished freshman year. He's a sophomore. They just finished first quarter. And he's in there. I was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you growling like that? He's like, this, and the other. And I went in there and I sat down. And I was like, what kind of math are you doing? He said, this is college algebra. This is my college algebra class. I said, you taking college? Now, that's a shame because I normally look at all my kids' class schedules. But this time I'm just like, whatever. I'm on number 6 as long as he bring in good grades. But because he's taken violin since he was 3 in preschool. And so he took violin in preschool and it woke him up and woke up that brain. And by the time he was in kindergarten, he was reading. And I have absolute proof from academic people in the Kansas City, Missouri School District, because we went to a church and they did an Black History program and he didn't memorize his speech. And I was so angry at him for not memorizing his speech in kindergarten or first grade. And he stood there reading this speech off a piece of paper and everybody's like, oh my God, they're freaking out. He can read. And I'm like, I'll just smack him upside his head because I told him to memorize. But I didn't realize, because I'm so used to all of my children being highly that academic, how impressive it was that he could read at the level he could read with the fluency, because that's normal for my kids. I expect nothing less. So everyone was like, that little bitty baby can read like that. And I'm like, yeah, y'all kids can't. But I didn't realize that everyone in our community doesn't push academics in that manner. I'm going to read some of the comments we have. Hey sis, hey Cheryl, that's my sister. Thank you for watching. I want to thank everybody for watching too. Galvin said, happy birthday, son. I'm pretty sure he's going to see this. Galvin also said, Galvin U Berkeley, and I want y'all, he's brought back Ida IKC. It is back on online, and it's a Black owned news radio station, a news radio channel, Ida IKC. So everyone, please support Galvin Berkeley's Ida IKC. But Galvin said, scholarships and grants for different skills, hobbies, etc. You do write essays. Oh, you do have to write an essay, etc. And he said, by the way, happy birthday to your son. Thank you, Galvin. But yeah, so and these kids don't even have to apply for scholarships. This is their reparations. This is rightfully theirs. They go get it. It is, rightfully theirs to have. And so a lot of people don't realize that this is the way you do it. We've got our people stressing and upset and talking about some money. If you look at reparations and you do inflation, it's only a little over $200,000. Now, I can flip that $200,000. I can flip it real good. I can make it work. We will have perpetual money and we never have to touch it. But who else can do that? That's in the Black community. There's a handful of us that can do that out of everybody in the Black community. You can give me $200,000 and I'm going to be educating lineage 500 years from now because I know how to flip it and make it perpetual. But who else can do that in the Black community? Why not say, no, we don't care about all that little bit of money y'all gonna throw at us because y'all know we gonna go spend it back up like Cedric the Entertainer said, buying up Cadillacs and weave and hair weave and cannabis and all of that stuff. No, Give us what you give the Native Americans. We are Native Black Americans. Give us what you give them. Make sure that all of our children are educated for free, no matter what level of education. If they want to get 4, 5 PhDs. My daughter has a friend who has a PhD. He literally is a doctor, and they graduated getting their master's together when she graduated #1 from Columbia University. They called off his name at graduation as Dr. John because he's a doctor. He can go back to school as much as he wants to, but he's just a Black man who figured out how to get that education and the way he wants to get it. That's what we need to do here. We have young Black people who just simply want to be truck drivers. My former spouse, all he ever wanted to do in his life was drive trucks. He told me that he literally only wanted to drive trucks. He didn't want to do anything else. And he's a truck driver. But look how many people only want to drive trucks, or only want to build houses, or only want to be crane operators, and they don't have the money to pay to go to school. And then when they do get to school, the jobs are not there. See, here's the thing about reparations for the natives. You have to hire them when they apply for a job. You better find a reason, a very good reason why you did not hire that Native American if they have all the qualifications for that job. And I work HR. I know. She told me if a Native American comes through and if they have all the qualifications, give them the job. You got to, because we can get sued bad. So they don't even look at it like that with affirmative action with us. Why? Because affirmative action has no power. So the laws that are being put out are not geared specifically towards Native Black Americans. They're not. Cheryl said, those that are native of the Indian don't use this info don't share this info. No, they're not going to, but they don't have to. But here's another thing. A lot of the native councils do not allow Black people to register and get a tribal card either, because they know that we are of Native descent. I guarantee you, everybody you know named Cheeto, like Don Cheeto, they are literally off of the Native American plantation. The Native Americans owned slaves. And when the government freed the slaves on Juneteenth, the Native Americans said, we're not a part of y'all. We're keeping our slaves. And their slaves worked for another, I think they said like 50 to 80 years. Somebody got to check me on that. Don't quote me, but I know it was a long time them folk was working. And they were slaves. And everyone who has the name Cheeto came from that slave plantation of the Native Americans. Are they sharing their stuff with those, even just the Cheeto descendants? No, they're not. But that is where we as a people, and this is what I say, and I want to get this movement going, because we as a people always yell, vote, 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 vote. But we don't realize that government everywhere, not just in the U.S., you have to buy and own your politicians. People keep saying, Lyne't, stop saying that. I'm not going to stop saying that, because Trump said it on the very first time he ever debated, ever, as a presidential candidate. He said it on stage. He said, I own all of y'all, because I've donated, what did he say? Donated heavily, or he's donated great amount of money to each one of their campaigns. And the only person who could say, no, you didn't, was Ben Carson. And Ben Carson was like, no, because I've never ran for office before. So you didn't donate nothing to me. But everybody else up there was just stuck facing mum. Because he proved to us that your vote and putting your money where your vote is, Black people, since we don't have these we have billionaires and we have multi-millionaires, but we don't have them in the sense where they just might roll with the same things that we roll with. We got to start putting our money together in super PACs. $5, $10 here, $20 here. Make sure they give us a quarterly account of what's going on. And you say, hey, these are the issues that this super PAC represents. You don't put all the issues on one super PAC. You make super PACs that represent our different issues. And then you send, we can buy the highest lobbyists then. We can buy the highest paid lobbyists and have them go in, and we own every politician and got them voting in our favor. because we can tell them, hey, okay, go on ahead and play us if you want to. You ain't going to have your seat. And that's how it works. That's how politics works. You're welcome, Gavin. You said, but here's the kicker. Some Native Americans have contract companies with the government, so the wealth is locked into the Native peoples. Here's what I tell people, and this is what Black people don't know. The Natives are educated to get those contracts. The Black people are not. I have a Native American that I know, and she and her husband own a trucking company. And the company that they own is contracted with the government, but here's how the contract was set up. Only a company owned by 50%. It had to be a 50% Native woman. It could be her and her husband. But if she was Black, it had to be 100% Black woman-owned company for trucking contracts for the government, paying $8 to $10 a mile. And that Native woman got it because her people taught her how to build her business. There was money put together in order to get her business going. They're not getting, the government gives them reparations. See, this is what reparations should look like. Everybody's yelling, oh, I want reparations. I want my money, this, that, and the other. No, reparations should be, we're going to give you everything in your power to be successful. Everything that we can do on account of our pockets to be successful. And if you're not successful, that's because you don't want to be. A lot of people don't like that I say that, but President Obama gave all that money to the Natives and then went home and kissed his Black wife and his Black daughters. And he didn't put nothing in place for the HBCUs. He didn't put nothing in place for reparations to give us. He didn't even make it to where he demanded Congress work and make it to where we can vote again after 2031. It's 2020. We got 11 more years to vote thanks to Biden. We got to wake up as a people. We have to stop being so emotional with our decisions as a people. And people want to say, oh, I'm mad at Trump. I'm mad at Trump. So what? It's the lesser of two evils. To me, it is the lesser of two evils. It really is. You going to vote for somebody going to throw your kids back in jail? Or you going to vote for somebody who's going to tank the entire country? Lyne't, personally, if I would have voted for them, I would have voted for the person who's going to tank the entire country, because I'm the kind that if you want me to go down, we all go down. I'm not going down by myself. If you setting me up for failure, if you got your heart set on killing me or anything else, you're not going to get it done without me taking you with me. I'm not going to sacrifice my sons. Biden is either you sacrifice your Black sons, and people say, oh, I don't know too many people who got arrested on some BS and they wasn't doing nothing. Hello, I do. They cleared my generation out. The very last person, I dated one person who did not have a felony. And he graduated in 1989 before Clinton was elected. We went from Black men graduating high school, and I watched a Black man before Clinton got elected get drafted into the minor league baseball from high school, my high school, to Black men, young Black boys getting pulled over and having crack planted on them. Every Black man that I know that deserved to go to jail, they will tell you out of their own mouth, I was doing so much dirt, I deserve to be in there. But guess what? Half of them are out here right now. See, the system works like that. When you supposed to be in jail and you shouldn't be out and you should not be walking these streets, the system lets you off. But those guys who got set up, they doing years. Ricky Kidd is one of them. And this man went in as a little boy and came out as a 40-some-year-old man, having done nothing wrong. But his mom denied the officer coming in her house and raping her, and he set her son up. But guess who put that kind of stuff in place to be played? Biden. Because if you read the 1994 crime bill, he went lax on meth. Read the bill. He went hard on marijuana and hard on crack and hard on cocaine, because he knew the guys that started buying the crack, buying the cocaine, and making the crack themselves. So if you caught with it or any of that, if you caught smoking it, all of a sudden now A drug addiction is a sickness. It's not a criminal offense. Why? Because his son went through it. But we have to wake up. We cannot continue to allow ourselves to be emotionally manipulated as a people. We cannot do that. Galvin said, I used to have a before the election specials prior to 2015. 2015 was when eye to eye, I would go line by line in the candidates and issues. Knowledge is power and power is for the people. Absolutely. As Fred Hampton said, it all power for all people. It's not just, he would say, you know, he ran down the colors, which people could consider racist to say now. And stop calling black people racist. We don't own enough to be racist. Racist is using a systematic way to keep a certain people oppressed and not able to become just as wealthy as the majority. We can be bigots. We can be prejudiced as all get out. We can never be racist. This is my election special. I want to thank you all for joining in and watching the Lyne't Gray Show on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, Kansas City's global community radio station. I want to encourage everyone to keep your eye on the political process, not just later, but starting now and every year thereafter, and educate your kids to know who they're voting for in every arena. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and all power to the people. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you next week, right before my birthday, y'all. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
All right, you're listening to KUAW Radio.